on a gorgeous Thursday morning in Northeast Ohio. Welcome on in. It is the Bullpen, a Bull and Fox edition every Thursday at 9 a.m., the last show of June before we turn the calendar to July. Happy birthday to my sister. How old is she? Is she 50 today?
Did you text her this morning?
I didn't.
Oh, bad job out of you.
I know. I wasn't thinking about it until I looked at I look at the calendar just now.
Like you just looked at it as we went live?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it's the 26th. That's her birthday. So I can't remember now if she's 50 or 49. No, I think she's 50. So it's a big birthday. I got to get on that.
Do you know what year she was born?
I think 75, but now I can't remember for sure.
Dude, what is wrong with you?
I got a lot going on. I can't remember if she was born in 75. Yeah, no, it was 75. Yeah, she's 50. So there you go. So I didn't, get her a gift.
I mean, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. It's making me look great.
Yeah.
At least I wished her a happy birthday. That's better than a poke in the eye with a stick, or maybe not.
Indeed.
A lot to get to today. We'll be breaking down all the mock drafts for the second round. I didn't even know that the NBA draft was now a 2-day event. Did you know that?
Dude, I got to tell you something, dude.
Yeah.
Yesterday, you were off UCSS, and I was in, and Mikey led the show, and Jason was on, and Mike's just an absolute NBA nerd.
Oh my God!
And thankfully for us, I mean, like he knows all of, like he keeps us in the loop is the point.
Yeah.
And like we were going through like his top 5 prospects for the second round, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like in the weeds, man. We're talking about guys who are playing in France who I've never heard of.
Right.
And he's like breaking this down. I'm like, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So who's your top pick for tonight, Adam?
I mean, not only do the Cavs, the Cavs didn't have a first round pick, obviously, but the Cavs have 2 second round picks, but they're both late, and the second round is obviously such a crapshoot. I don't know anything about any of these guys. I'll just tell you this: the ESPN mock draft has them taking Vladislav Golden, who played for Michigan. He's a super senior. I think he's like 7'1". He's a 7'5" wingspan, but he's 24 years old. They have him going 49th. And then the Cavs have the second to last pick in the second round, pick 58, taking a guy I'm very excited about, Saliu Niang. I don't think any relation to George Niang.
I was going to say, any relation to the minivan?
I don't know. This guy's a wing player from Italy who plays good defense, and we don't know if he can play any offense at all. So
hell of a breakdown.
That's the breakdown of the second round. But I think this was the first year that they did the first round one day, the second round the next day, try to get that NFL boost. But, like, in all honesty, you have to be so in the weeds to sit and watch the second. I didn't watch the first round at all.
I didn't watch the second last night.
Yeah, no. I mean, with the Cavs, if the Cavs had a pick, obviously I would have watched. But with the Cavs not involved yesterday, you knew they probably weren't going to make a trade, which they didn't. So there's no reason to watch. And then certainly, I mean, second round, I'll find out later. Mike can tell me all about, who they picked and if there's any shot. Now, listen, there are some players, including the best player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic, who were drafted in the second round, turned out to be great players, right? Wasn't Manu Ginobili a second round pick? Was Tony Parker a second round pick? I feel like
no, I don't think Parker was. I think Ginobili was.
So find Draymond
Green was a second round pick.
Yeah. So I mean, you find there are, but those are very few and far between, and certainly, you're not going to have any clue of that at the outset here when they draft them. But hopefully the Cavs find some nice presence in the second round that could turn into something. Now, the Browns found a quarterback, hopefully, in either the third or fifth round of this past draft. And yesterday, I saw a clip. The NFL Network does a show called the NFL Insiders. You've probably seen that show, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's got Rappaport and Garofalo and all their guys, their insiders, and Cameron Wolfe is a guy who's been an up and comer in NFL Network.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked to him before. I think he was on our show. I think he was on UCSS. Anyway, he's becoming more of an insider at NFL Network, and he was on that show yesterday, and they were talking about the Browns with him because he has spent a lot of time in Berea. He was with the Browns for the draft, and he's been here for the mini camps and stuff, at least some of them. And again, this seems like his opinion. I don't know that he's not really reporting this as a fact necessarily, but he was asked who he thinks is going to start for the Browns, and he said, and you see the quote there, I'd handicap Joe Flacco as the quarterback one favorite. He did go on to say that he thinks Kenny Pickett has the opportunity to beat out Joe Flacco for the job. He'd be very surprised if either of the rookies started week one, which I think, most people feel that way. It's hard enough for a rookie to start week one or be ready to start week one, let alone a guy who was drafted beyond the first round, which is the case with both Browns rookie quarterbacks. But I've felt all along Joe Flacco should be the favorite. If it's all about ultimately the Browns have to decide what they're doing here, Dustin. Are they trying to win or are they trying to develop? Because if they're trying to develop, then okay, then start one of the rookies if you think they're ready, if it's not about winning. And if it's about winning, I find it hard to believe that any of the quarterbacks, even as limited as Joe Flacco might be at 40 years old, I mean, he's not the player he once was, but I find it hard to believe that if you're truly trying to give yourself the best chance to win, that Joe Flacco wouldn't be the best option, at least initially.
Well, who would be the best option, you think?
I mean, I just don't see how it could be anybody else. I can't imagine that Shedeur Sanders.
Okay, you're saying it is Joe Flacco.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. If you're trying to win.
All right.
Yes.
I was confused.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, I just don't see who else it could be. I think it's clear. Again, unless you go to training camp in the preseason and maybe somebody just stands out and you're like, wow, maybe this guy's turned to whatever. But right now, today, I think it's impossible to believe that anybody but Joe Flacco, at least initially, gives them a better chance to win.
No, Flacco definitely gives them the best chance to win. He knows this offense. He knows how to be a pro. All these other quarterbacks on the roster right now are they're just potential, potential talent. Guys like Kenny Pickett was a former first-round pick. So, he's got some upside because he was a talented player coming out of college, hasn't really played much in the league. And these other two guys are rookies, so we have no clue what they are. Are the Browns trying to win is the question I think you asked. And I mean, it's sort of an interesting balance because of course they're trying to win. You never want to go into a season and try to lose or just play for draft picks. I mean, at some point you've got to have some team morale and try to, get the culture turned to a winning type of culture, which they've had under Kevin Stefanski in the past with Baker Mayfield. But it's just been so bad since. They had the one run with Flacco a couple of years ago, which was really fun. And you know what? Honestly, Adam, that was probably the most fun we've had in a while. And if they can even replicate any of that to some degree, I think it would be amazing for this organization. So, yeah, Flacco has to be your starting quarterback week one. Unless Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel or Pickett plays lights out and you're like, man, we can go to the playoffs with this guy.
Right.
Then I'm playing Flacco.
Right, and that's the tricky thing. But you say Flacco's limitations. So first of all, the odds that at 40 years old, Joe Flacco, or forget it, any quarterback outside of Tom Brady is going to make it through a full season at 40 years old is almost impossible. And listen, this Browns team, I think we all realistically know they're not capable of. I mean, I don't know that they're even capable of making the playoffs. I think that's a long shot, let alone be a team that's a Super Bowl contender. So it's easy to just say, well, who cares if they win? We need high draft picks to get better. But as you say, the counterbalance to that is I got veterans. I got Joe Bitonio. I got Myles Garrett. I got Wyatt Teller. I got Denzel Ward. I got David Njoku. These guys don't want to just wait for next year every year. They don't care about draft picks. They want to win as many games as possible, and they want to shock everybody and shut up people that think they have no chance by winning as many games as they can. So finding that balance of developing and being realistic versus, hey, we got to do everything we can just to win right now is a tricky thing to find for an organization. So, but I think, even if you start Joe Flacco week one, you're going into that with the intent that's at least one other quarterback is going to play during the season, if not more. And so if nothing else, it gives Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, I'll go with just those two guys, a chance to kind of sit back and watch a pro play and learn from him. And we, obviously it's been talked about a million times about Joe Flacco being a mentor or whatever, but just watching him, just seeing how he gets ready for a game, seeing how he prepares, seeing what he's doing during the game, who he's talking to, what he's watching in terms of the tablet. Like that experience for those guys can be invaluable and can give them a little breathing room until one or even both of them eventually go in.
Yeah, I mean this is probably like, if not the last season, close to it for Joe Flacco. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And yeah, he's not going out of his way to be a coach to these young guys, but come on, you've been in the league for 18 years.
Right.
If guys are around, like you're going to naturally help them out if they ask questions. I mean, he's not a dick. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy's a good guy. You know what I mean? Just because
Yeah.
he said like, hey, I'm not like being paid to be a coach. Like, yeah, of course, he's not going to make it a priority for these guys to go out of his way.
Right.
But he's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to withhold information from you because I think you could beat me out or something. Like, no,
Right.
he's 40 years old, man. Like, he's going to help out as much as he can. And frankly, it's on the players to try and gain something from having Flacco in that room. And it's really smart that they have him here. And I'm glad he's back because worst case, we know that we've got a professional quarterback that knows how to run a team, a locker room, like all those things until we find the next future at the position.
And I find it, I gotta believe that all the veterans on this team want Joe Flacco to play. Isn't that likely?
Well, I mean, especially the guys that were here and
Yeah.
and saw the run where they went. I think they finished 11-5 that year, or
11-6.
11-6. Yeah,
Yeah.
11-6. Went to the playoffs, laid an egg. We know that, but still, you got there. I mean, I would love this team to get back to the playoffs. I don't care about draft picks next year. I don't. I don't.
And by the way, if it turns out, and obviously we're a long way from this, but if one of the two quarterbacks they drafted this year turns out to be the quarterback of the future, then how high you're picking next year doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this many times. I get it. Generally, you want to be at the top of the draft to get a top quarterback, but good teams that draft well, it doesn't matter where they're drafting. We've seen this. I mean, the Steelers have drafted a lot of good players. How often have they been? Now they haven't drafted a quarterback in a while, but they haven't been picking high. But they never pick in the top 10, and yet they consistently find good players in the draft. The Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, how many times have they drafted high in recent years? Not many. They consistently find good players. The smart teams find good players in the draft without having to be in the top 10 picks in the draft. They do it all the time. That's why they're good teams. And that's
right.
Because their ability, the GM's ability or the team's ability to see talent and find players that other teams are like don't like as much, but they know, they have more success. They do it better. Yeah. And the Browns have been the opposite. They've had a million high picks, and they've blown one after the next after the next.
They've had many opportunities to find their quarterback, and they've continued to blow it. And this is the year where it's interesting because we're not even talking about the player the Browns took with the 5th pick.
We barely mentioned him.
Barely talked about
Mason
Graham.
Yeah.
Barely talked about him because it's not a sexy position.
No.
And he could have a great year. He could be the best defensive player in football, and it's not going to really equate to wins.
Not at all. No, probably not. And
because they had the best defensive player in football last year.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Well, they've had the best defensive player in football almost every year for the last decade, and they haven't won much. They've won one playoff game with Myles Garrett. Yeah, it's a good point. And frankly, the only time we've mentioned him, I've mentioned him on any platform in the last week is to say, man, Travis Hunter, if that guy's great, we're going to feel even worse.
Well, he's going to be great. We know that.
He's going to be. And I can't, no.
Unless he gets hurt and has a catastrophic injury, the guy's going to be a great player.
Yeah. Speaking of Travis Hunter real quick, I don't know what I was listening to, but I heard it must have been NFL radio or whatever it was. I heard somebody talking about how Travis Hunter has mostly been practicing with the offense. And the reason for that is obviously I don't know about obviously, but he's going to play both. But he's more natural on defense. So they felt like he needed to spend a lot of time in the offseason program on offense because that position's less natural for him. And I'm thinking like, my God, this guy was one of the best, one of the, if not the best receiver in the country this past year.
How about that?
And that's not his natural, he's not as natural. So that's how much of a freak he is.
I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a big year too if he stays healthy. So with him and Hunter, I think they'll have a chance.
He needs it. Needs a big bounce back year. Guys, put up that Browns win total there again that you just had on the bottom of the screen. Yeah. Browns right here at Bet Rivers is the latest. Browns 2025 win total over under 5.5. The over's at plus 116. The under is at minus 143. So what we're saying is not only is the Browns win total very low of 5.5, but that the favorite is the under.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, it's under's minus 143, right? So
yeah, let me see this thing.
If you see on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. Well, my screen's covering it up. So.
Okay.
I got it now. Sorry.
So So it's under. So
I would. So I was talking with my buddy Scotty about this the other day, and I'm like,
Scotty's one of the degenerates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And his buddies are all like buying it to 4.5, which is like I think you got to lay like minus 150 to get the extra game. So basically, if the Browns win 5, which I think is a little bit of a safer number, then they then you win the bet. I don't like 6 is going to be tough. I think 5 is certainly possible.
The schedule's really, although, you say the schedule's tough and then teams one year to the next is different. Browns plus 750 to make the playoffs. Yeah, I'm not betting on that. I mean, I think they've got a very slim chance of making the playoffs. You obviously never know, but the AFC is just so loaded.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you like in the AFC, you got, your 7 playoff teams last year: Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Houston, Kansas City, the Chargers, and the Broncos. Of the teams that didn't make the playoffs, we know the Bengals are a threat. We know the Dolphins are a threat. And I would say the Jaguars, even though their record is bad, should be a lot better. I mean, the Colts were just a game under 500. I'm not really high on them, but it's not like they were terrible. So, I mean, there's just not a lot of bad teams in the AFC. I don't know what the Jets are going to be with Justin Fields.
We don't know what the Chiefs are going to be this year.
Really? You think they could take a big step back?
I don't know if they take a big step back, but we saw them kind of lay an egg in the Super Bowl. We know Mahomes is amazing, but Travis Kelce's getting older. I mean, the guys around Mahomes are getting older. I don't know. I feel like their run is over.
Really? I'm not ready to write them off yet.
I think they'll be good. I don't think they're winning the title.
Well, I hope you're right, but I'm not ready to go that far. I mean, listen, Travis Kelce was definitely not as good last year. I mean, it was still, his bad season is 97 catches, 823 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, how about that?
That's a good season. That's probably better than anything David Njoku's done, and we look at him as a solid tight end. Maybe Njoku had a little more yards than that, but for him, that's a pretty significant drop-off. He only missed 1 game, so we're used to him having 11, 12, 13, even 1,400 yards in a season, and or double-digit touchdowns or close to it. But yeah, I mean, Travis Kelce, man, he's going to turn 36 in the middle of the season. That's old for a pass.
It's just crazy to think that we were interviewing him in studio, like when he was in college.
I know.
Before the draft.
I know. Yeah, it must have been.
God, that was in 12?
Let's see. He got drafted in 2013. He was drafted. So yeah, it was probably
that spring in spring of 2012 or 2013.
So it was probably was it spring? It was either the winter of 2012 or the spring of 2013 that we interviewed.
It had to be 2013 because remember he came to the bar, Buffalo Wild Wings. We were there for March Madness.
That's right.
And so that was right. April before the draft.
Right.
In 2013.
Man, 12
Rocky River, Center Ridge Road. Remember that?
Yes. Isn't
it funny how we remember these like certain days?
Oh my God!
Of the show, out of all the thousands of shows we've done.
Yeah, well, one of the ones I reference all the time, and I think we did this one at a bar in Westlake. I think it was a Panini's on Detroit. in Westlake, just off the highway, when we did that show about what uniform, like if you had to buy one Browns jersey since '99, which one would you buy? And like people were mostly saying Joe Thomas, Josh Cribbs, and Phil Dawson, and we were like, this is just pitiful. An offensive lineman, a kick returner, and a kicker as your three most bought uniform. You remember that show?
I do.
Yeah.
That was that Panisse right there in the corner.
Right.
Of Clegg, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Clegg in Detroit. Of course, the bar we did. What did we do more shows at the Clevelander or Rivals?
Probably Clevelander.
Yeah, because we did. No,
actually not, because we did every Thursday. That's 16. Did we do? I don't know if we did that many shows at the Clevelander. Did we?
We did a lot of playoff games.
But we did like multiple years at Rivals.
But we did Rivals, I would say, from 2012 or 13 until 2019. Every Thursday. Or not every Thursday, but a lot of Thursdays we did at Rivals. But anyway, it was some fun, mostly fun times when we had bar remotes. Every once in a while, the bar didn't seem like thrilled that we were there. But 95.9% of the time, and certainly at Rivals and Clevelander, they treated us awesome, and we loved going there. So anyway, if you want to jump in the conversation, jump on the YouTube chat, and we will read your comments or answer your questions, starting with, let's see who we got here. These are Guardians comments. Talk about that in a second. Eric says, hello from Valencia, Spain. Eric.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy? What time is it in Spain right now? Probably, 5 in the morning or something like that? 5 in the evening. Selame says, Bullpen, Adam, and Fox. If he can stay, I don't know. Pickett is not the guy. Ian Coleman, Bull, just saw a report from Jory at Yahoo said that Pickett is starting and Joe Shador is on the block. We'll have to check that out. Aaron Snyder, Flacco and Gabriel are my picks. Definitely wish we kept Chubb. Greetings from Florida, guys. I'm originally from Columbus. Thank you, Aaron. B. Skrills, I picked the Chiefs in third place this season at 12-5. You think they're going to finish 12-5 and be in third place? You think Denver and the Chargers are going to win 13 or more games? I don't know about that.
No.
I mean, you want to say they finished third? Okay, I could hear that, but third with 12 wins.
Who's the team that made the playoffs last year that will be like around 500 or under 500 this year?
See, I think that's the
Denver?
Broncos to me, and I think it could, and I think Pittsburgh. And I don't know. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to be like. If Aaron Rodgers, what's that?
It's his last year.
Yeah, but he's been so injury prone late in his career, and he wasn't terrible last year, but he wasn't very good. I don't know. The Steelers are always around 500, so we'll see. But I think the Broncos will fall off. To me, that's the team. I think Bo Nix, and it's not uncommon. A lot of second-year quarterbacks will take a step back, and then the following year, if they're really good, they'll shoot forward again. If not, they don't. But it's going to be tough. The AFC is so loaded. There's so many good teams. Again, you had 7 teams win double-digit games last year, and the Bengals won 9, and the Dolphins and the Colts won 8. So that's 10 teams that won at least 8 games last year. I think the Colts are probably the worst of the bunch, but who knows? Sam says, I was living downtown from early 2013 to mid-2018. I remember you guys being at the Clevelander. A lot of good times. Yeah. Oh, God. There was some crazy moments at the Clevelander. No doubt about it. I met a guy the other day at the Little League field named Lou Einfalt, who was a huge fan of the show. He happened to see me there, and he was. It's funny. Yesterday, I had to speak to call a couple of travel baseball coaches because I'm putting together this fall baseball league, or I'm making the rosters for this fall baseball league we do. And so I was calling a couple of travel coaches in the area to get information on some kids that had joined. We did a workout for most of the kids to assess their skill level to make the teams even. But there were a couple kids that couldn't make it, so I was talking to their coaches, and the first guy goes, we're talking for 5 minutes, and he goes, you sound a lot like that Adam the Bull guy from the radio.
You should say, I get that a lot.
I said, yeah, I did, absolutely. And then the second guy I spoke to 5 minutes into the conversation was like, dude, I got to tell you, I loved Bull and Fox, blah, 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 So it was funny how that happened. I shouldn't be surprised that guys that coach kids travel baseball are big sports fans, right? That's not really
no, absolutely
much of an upset there. Speaking of baseball, the Guardians with a nice win yesterday, playing a little better here. Bounced back off the loss to the Blue Jays to win last night. 5-4 walk-off win as Jose Ramirez comes through, as he always does. I mean, man, well, he always does in the regular season. He has in recent years in the playoffs. But Jose got the single, an RBI with the bases loaded and nobody out in the bottom of the 10th after Nick Enright, of all people, got the job done in the top of the 10th, and the Guardians beat the Jays 5-4. They tied the game in the bottom of the 6th after the Blue Jays had taken a 4-3 lead, and then they win it in extra innings. And so they needed that one. And Gavin Williams did not pitch well for the Guardians yesterday. Gave 4 runs, 3 earned in 5 1/3. But the bullpen did a great job. Festa, Herron, Junis, Clase, and Enright went 4 2/3 scoreless innings, gave up just 2 hits and 3 base runners, and struck out 5. So a nice job by the Guardians. Lane Thomas is finally showing signs of life at his 3rd home run, 2nd in as many days. So nice win there. And a couple of comments about that in the chat. Patrick K. Moskowitz says, great win by the Guards. Patrick says, you'll listen to Antonetti comments on the broadcast last night. You know what? We'll talk about this more on UCSS today. I don't want. I'm sick of all this nonsense and propaganda, whether it's Andre Knott as the sideline guy or Chris Antonetti. I get it; they work for the team. They're going to tell us how dumb we all are because we want prospects up when half the team can't hit. But we'll talk about that a little later. It's time to call guys up, but they're not going to do it. And there you go. Will Y says, I don't care who the Cavs drafted or will draft. Sam Hill says, Jose. Thomas Brown, Bull, I just joined the show, but why did the Browns just cut Agbo Okoronkwo? Is that true?
I just saw a thing come through. They signed a kicker. I didn't read the details about it.
I did not see that they cut Agbo. I mean,
yeah, they did. They just did.
Did. Okay. Yeah. We have breaking news.
Yep. They signed Andre Schmidt, kicker, undrafted kicker from the Bears, and let go of Okoronkwo.
Huh. That was a big free agent pickup by them a few years ago.
I know.
He hadn't really done much. That's not good when you're getting cut for a backup kicker.
Right.
That's interesting because they just paid their kicker, who had a great year 2 years ago, and then he stunk last year.
I mean, Okoronkwo has played 30 games for the Browns last 2 years, 52 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. It's not like the guy hasn't played well. I mean, he's put up numbers. I don't know if he's played well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been, a contributor, certainly. Decent player. That is odd. We're going to have to jump into that more on UCSS because we're out of time here.
Hey, real fast. I'm going to New York City tomorrow.
Yeah.
Should I go anywhere to eat?
Where you going?
I'm going to be in Manhattan.
Midtown? What are you doing?
I'm staying at I'm going on a cruise, my honeymoon.
Oh, right. So where are you staying exactly? Do you know?
Peninsula in Manhattan.
I'll text you with some stuff.
It's like on 5th Avenue.
You want to go get pizza? You want to get like a steak?
I don't know. I mean, do you think it's worth it to go to a Yankees game tomorrow night?
I mean, it's a fun experience, but
never been to one.
It's pretty cool. I mean, the old stadium was cooler, but the new stadium is pretty sweet. I mean, it is nice, and I would go. Yeah, if you can go. You probably get good tickets, right?
I mean, tickets are not super cheap, but they're available.
Sarah wants to go.
I don't know if she wants to go or not. I'm like, and I don't love baseball, but I need something to do. You know what I mean?
It's fun. It's an experience going to a baseball game in New York. Like, it's a crazy experience, but it'll be fun.
Do I wear a Guardians hat if I go?
You could. Nobody's gonna. It's not like the Guardians are a rival, really. Then nobody's gonna.
My son's starting to wear all these he's got a Dodgers hat he loves.
Oh yeah,
he's into
because he
like
wants to look he
yes,
wants to look cool,
fashionable,
cool. Wear these other teams. All right, well, I'll text you about some places.
Okay, cool.
All right, everybody. Thanks to Z and Max for producing today. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening today. We'll talk to you next Thursday at 9 a.m. Where else but right here? It's the Bullpen with Bull and Fox, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.
Later.